How you doing, everyone? This is Ace X, along with the layout in the open that everything that we say here is strictly our opinion, and it does not necessarily reflect the views of the platform that we're on or the wrestling companies that we're talking about. Um, I'm going to be honest with you, folks. Um, we were working on everything, planning out for this show, and we just found out. Um, it is stated, or at least it has been stated 36 minutes ago, but it already um, passed more than that. So I believe when we first got wind of this news, this was, I think, 9:37, 9:38 Central Time.
Somewhere around that time frame, yes.
And right now, we just barely got on at 10:07. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unfortunate to announce the passing of John Huber, also known to the wrestling world in WWE as Luke Harper, and recently in AEW, known as Mr. Brody Lee. So this is what the WWE has stated per what I saw on their community section of their YouTube channel. And I read as follows. WWE is saddened to learn that John Huber, known to WWE fans as Luke Harper, passed away today at age 41. Known as both Luke Harper in WWE and Brody Lee in AEW, even though it doesn't technically say that, but I'm stating it for the record, reading this. Huber found success in every stop of his sports entertainment career, as his soft-spoken yet imposing presence helped him create countless awe-inspiring moments in the ring. As a member of the Wyatt family, he engaged in heated rivalries with the likes of Kane, Daniel Bryan, The Shield, John Cena, and the Usos. Harper and Rowan later comprised the Bludgeon Brothers and embarked on a path of destruction that was highlighted by a SmackDown Tag Team title victory in a triple threat match at WrestleMania 34. WWE extends its condolences to Hubert's family, friends, and fans. Now, I gotta say, I'm really surprised that WWE came out with a message like this, and AEW hasn't come out with anything except for what you mentioned, the tweets from Tony Khan. You mentioned tweets from WWE superstars,
Yes.
Raw, SmackDown, NXT, also even AEW superstars, I believe.
Yes. Yes. Let me let's say for all of you ladies and gentlemen, and before we will address to the situation, I hope you had celebrated your Christmas holiday very safely, but nonetheless, the things continue to go on, and especially with the passing of Mr. John Huber, known to fans as Luke Harper, and of course the Exalted One Brody Lee. And minutes ago, I read the tweets from several in the sports entertainment community paying tribute to the late John Huber, and they're like the tweets I read from Drew McIntyre, from Tony Khan, from Mike Cardona, and several other people within the sports entertainment community extend their deepest sympathies to John Huber's widow, and because he left behind and two wonderful little sons, and pretty much we cannot say for what it was for John Huber in reality, because he was a guy who pretty much came into the fold with as a member of the Wyatt family, but unfortunately due to creative situations, he did not. It was not as the direction for him was kind of lost, and therefore that is why he went to ended up signing with AEW, and therefore he was pegged as the ultimate leader of the Dark Order, the Exalted One, and looks like everything was going to go well John Huber, but unfortunately, the men upstairs had other plans, and all I can say is that that we will never forget the moments that John Huber brought to us as whether he was a member of the White family as one half of the Bludgeon Brothers, and then of course his what was supposed to be his new run with AEW as the Exalted One, Brody Lee. But again, it's like once again, just when we thought we would turn over, and yes, we are days away from starting the new year, but the man upstairs clearly had different plans.
So I want to state something, and I am gonna correct on my mistake. AEW has unleashed a message out on Twitter at 7:31 p.m. About maybe 2.5 hours ago, maybe 3, and this is what All Elite Wrestling has stated. The All Elite Wrestling family is heartbroken. In an industry filled with good people, John Huber was exceptionally respected and beloved in every way. A fierce and talent, a thoughtful, contradicted his persona as Mr. Brody Lee. John's love for his wife Amanda and children Brody and Nolan was evident to all of us who were fortunate to spend time with him, and we send our love and support to his beautiful family today and always. John's popularity among his peers and influence on the wrestling world was worldwide and transcended AEW, so this loss will be felt by many for a long time. We were privileged at AEW to call John Huber a brother, a friend, and one of our own. So once again, I stand corrected on the facts. AEW did release a message about 3.5 hours ago on Twitter on their AEW page. So I apologize for that. Let's see. Hubert's wife Amanda later confirmed her husband's death, revealing that he died surrounded by loved ones after a battle with a lung issue that was not COVID-19 related. She praised the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota for its skilled care. And this is what, with all due respect, Amanda Huber, the wife of Brody Lee, has stated in her Instagram page. My best friend died today. I never wanted to write out those words. My heart is broken. The world saw him as the amazing Brody Lee, forever known as Luke Harper, but he was my best friend, my husband, and the greatest father you would ever meet. No words can express the love I feel or how broken I am right now. He passed surrounded by loved ones after a hard-fought battle with a non-COVID-related lung issue. The Mayo Clinic is literally for the way All Elite Wrestling has treated not only my husband, but myself and my kids. And of course, they mentioned everybody with asterisks, but I got to read Cody, Brandy, Nick and Matt Jackson, Kenny Omega, and Tony Khan. And there's some other names mentioned. I'm sorry if I haven't got to mention these names or who they are. My apologies. And the rest of the team at AEW have helped keep me standing and pick up all the broken pieces. I have been surrounded by so much love and incredible people. I can't tag them all, but they know who they are, and I don't think they will ever know how thankful I am for them. So the story goes, and it continues. Huber was well-traveled in his career, going from independent and local circuits like Chikara, Squared Circle Wrestling, and even Dragon Gate in Tokyo to WWE in 2012. First fighting under the name Brody Lee, Huber adopted the moniker Luke Harper with WWE and soon found success as a member of the Wyatt family, winning titles like the NXT Tag Team Championship and the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship. He also won the WWE Intercontinental Championship in 2014. Amid frustrations with his lack of use by WWE, Huber requested his release last year and made his debut with AEW soon after receiving it. He eventually won the AEW TNT Championship and was among the promotion's most popular wrestlers until his unfortunate passing. Um, Jada, I know that we're gonna try to, you know, do this show as best as we can, but I'm still in shock. This just happened, or it was made official about, you know, 3.5 hours. We just barely got wind of this just a half an hour ago after what WWE has stated, you know, for John Huber and his family. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, um, John Huber, who was known to WWE as Luke Harper, who was known in AEW as Mr. Brody Lee, has unfortunately passed away due to a non-COVID lung disease. Um, but we haven't stated our piece, so John Huber in the heavens with all the greatest men and women in the ring up in the sky. We here at the Ace Mon Armageddon brand, um, Godspeed, man. Condolences to your family, friends, and fans as well. Um, I'll always remember Luke Harper being a part of the White family, and even as Mr. Brody Lee, especially how he made me laugh doing the skits with being the elite apart with the Dark Order. Can you imagine how all of those guys and Anna Jay, how they're gonna feel empty knowing that the man who played the leader of this group will no longer be among them? How crushed they must be at this point.
It's one of those situations where no one expected it, because the last time we saw John Huber in action as Brody Lee, he pretty much got hurt, and we don't know if and we said that the last time we saw him was on Dynamite when he was in a I don't know if it was in a singles match or a tag match, and he suffered what appeared to be a knee or leg injury, and I'm just speculating here. I mean, I'm not saying this is definite, but if for those of you who saw that telecast and saw John Huber's last match, unfortunately, I'm saying his last match because it's not confirmed as his last match, and he ended up hurting himself. And I'm saying if like say right now the Huber family, per permission of his widow Amanda, says they gotta do like once they do the autopsy or the toxicology, all these tests to a person who recently passes, they have to say what was the exact cause, because when John Huber took that knee shot, it aggravated his I don't know if it was his left or his right leg, but apparently in all sense could indicate that whenever you suffer from an arm or leg pain, sometimes it's a sign that your health system is likely to falter on you because due to unexpected circumstances. But I just when we thought that things were gonna go on with for the Dark Order, but unfortunately things just happen. And as far as the Dark Order is concerned, what's going to be the direction now? I mean, are they going to find someone else to lead it, or pretty much going to have Stu Grayson and Evil Uno taking charge of the group, or is that gonna be it for them? We're only days away from ending 2020. New Year's Smash is gonna be this Wednesday. And it's a two-parter. What's gonna be the direction for the Dark Order come Wednesday now, and in the wake of this this said this said news, the passing of John Huber is like all we can say is we pretty much got 72 hours until New Year's Smash.
Um, so for the record, everything that Jade just stated, only speculation. He's not a doctor, but yet, with health and everything, it can go one way or another. We're not experts. We're just, only speculation. But I'm pretty sure within the days coming up ahead, there will be reports of a thorough investigation, what led, to John Huber's condition and having to deal with such issue as far as his immune system, because that's one that really it that's I'm sorry folks, it's really heavy to talk about, because um it's really, I'm sorry, I just can't find the words. I'm still in shock. I really am. But one thing is for sure, I'm sure that for New Year's Smash, um, these next two episodes, I'm pretty sure this is all going to be a tribute to him. That is a definite fact. That I have no doubt. AEW is going to dedicate these two episodes, in his honor. And I know everybody in the AEW family is going to do them proud. They're going to do him proud. That I have no doubt. Yeah, what is going to be the future for Dark Order? That we don't know. I'm pretty sure that's the last thing in their minds right now. But once they get their heads together, once this week starts, I'm sure they'll have ideas. I know they're not going to spring anything now, but they're going to give it time until we'll see what the future is for everyone involved in the Dark Order. If this is going to continue, or if this is going to break apart, or if they're going to have someone else lead the charge, that we don't know. We will wait to see. So while this episode is dedicated to the memory of John Huber, we are going to continue the show. So pretty much, why don't we start with the Wednesday Night War? I know I was kind of out-tuned with Dynamite and NXT a little bit, because normally I would see it, once they're already aired, and I have them DVR'd, and I'd be checking out the action way late at night. But for some reason, I'd be catching pretty much my sleep. It's pretty much catching up to me, and it's nuts. But still, I literally wait until the next day or so, and still get to watch it. So one thing that we're gonna jump on is once again, Sting made his appearance. How the jungle was set and created, and that he's back in the jungle, back on TNT after the longest time, and he can't wait to be in the mix in the jungle, so to speak. And of course, he was about to address Darby Allin, and then, of course, unfortunately, Team Taz decided to bitch and complain and all that stuff. Excuse my language, but yeah, they were getting annoyed and getting sick and tired of Sting and all of that. So it's like they were pretty much leaving the message that If Sting keeps pushing it, he was going to get hurt. And just as they were about to head to the ring, we noticed that while Taz passed on the mic to Absolute Ricky Starks, Darby Allin was already walking away from the spot that he was standing by on the top of Daily's place. And then that gave him enough time for everything to go black. And Darby Allin stood right next to Sting, not literally next, but like, they're doing that social distance thing inside of the ring. And Team Taz, big talkers, big trash talkers, they decide to retreat like punks. Talking like a fan, of course. They retreat and they say, "Oh yeah, of course we'll leave. There's always tomorrow. We'll fight another day." And supposedly that day will be, of course, January 6th, where Darby Allin will defend his All Elite Wrestling Turner Network Television Championship against the FTW World Champion in Brian Cage. So I think this one's going to be another outmatch. I don't recall if they actually fought before. Maybe they did. But, this is going to be somewhat of a true test for Darby Allin. And, to get the best of Brian Cage, he's got to really get into that dark spirit, think smart and see how the heck he's going to have to bring down this big, chiseled, mammoth guy in Brian Cage.
Well, let me just point out that like I mentioned months earlier when we started this broadcast, Brian Cage doesn't walk a card. He's not called the Machine for nothing. I mean, this guy is literally. I mean, this guy is ripped. He can go at it in the ring, and yes, come next Wednesday in the second installment of New Year's Smash, Darby Allin's got his work cut out for him because pretty much for someone who defeated Cody Rhodes straight up in that title match, but one thing about Darby Allin, he hardly faced off against guys that are ripped and have a certain amount of a certain physique, if you will. But pretty much, this would be a great match for the second half of New Year's Smash. That'll be on January 6th. But nonetheless, Darby Allin has pretty much his game plan is to find a way to overcome this built machine, knowing that Team Taz pretty much has it out for Darby. But nonetheless, the question is, can Darby overcome the Machine Brian Cage to retain the AEW TNT title?
Did you caught who won the match between Jericho and MJF against Top Flight?
Yes. So it was.
You want to explain a little bit about the match?
Yes.
Because I want to get to the very nitty gritty of that.
All right. Okay. So in that tag match between the Inner Circle, of course, Jericho and MJF against Top Flight, pretty much Top Flight gave Chris and MJF everything they could, but unfortunately, with Max's hunger and Jericho's experience, it was too much for I forgot to mention Jake Hager's presence. That was also a factor with MJF's hunger, Jericho's experience, and Hager's presence. It was too much for these. For this brotherly duo,
for the Martin brothers,
yes, for the Martin brothers to overcome the wrath of the Inner Circle. And I gotta admit, it was a very impressive match. But just when we thought it was all over, apparently a very disgruntled Jake Hager said, "How come I'm here and Wardlow is not?" Mm-hmm. So therefore, it has now been confirmed that possibly whether it be this half of New Year's match will be this week or the next half of New Year's match next week, but next week, or will be the second half of New Year's match will be the week after. It is confirmed that Jake Hager will face Wardlow, and frankly, I don't understand what they'll do, but I guess it'll be long overdue, and we'll see between the two big men in the inner circle now. We'll see who is pretty much more useful to the fold between Warlow or Jake Hager.
Yeah, because I gotta say, Jake Hager spoke loud volumes about his situation, the uncomfortable situation that he has felt ever since MJF and Warlow joined the inner circle. Because you got these two big guys, and I've talked about this before. You got two big guys in this group. Only one of them can actually put forward in the effort and help dominate along with the inner circle. And lately, that was Jake Hager. Warlow hasn't been done that much, unless if it was with MJF by his side. But yeah, that one's going to be very interesting, and that one I've been wanting to see for the longest time. So this is somewhat of a build up to this point because Hager is so irate, and he's with this uncomfortable trip, stating, where the heck is he? Why isn't he here? I'm here. I'm here for the inner circle, and that ain't going to change. But with the way this guy is in this group and skating and not being here to do his job, because Jake Hager is doing his job. He's there for the group, and he's not doing his. So to prove loyalty, to prove who is the one of the biggest guns in this group, either Jake Hager or Warlow, that I can't wait to see coming up. Hopefully in this either this Wednesday or the next. We don't know when that match is going to get programmed, but I'm looking forward to that one. Will Dustin Rhodes accept Evil Uno's invitation to be number 7? I think we already know that answer, but it looks like they're going to keep on being persistent. And I haven't seen the clip, but supposedly what's going on with Sean Spears, it looks like he's lost. It looks like he's got no he's lost his will to even wrestle in AEW. What the heck happened there? I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, but because he was the guy who pretty much so not to knock on anybody, like the now late John Huber, Sean Spears. Well, that is really his name, Sean Spears. He wanted something. He wanted something more, and I thought that his association with Tully Blanchard being his manager, hopefully things would start improving for Spears. Unfortunately, he's been relegated to just doing matches on Dark, barely any television time on Dynamite, and he pretty much said, and I recall the interview so told you, I said, I reminded of what I went through with my previous employer, but frankly, I said that's complete. And I was stable. Okay, this is just my opinion. This is complete nonsense. I mean, yeah, compared to where Sean Spears was in WWE when he was known as Ty Dillinger, he barely had any television time, be it on Raw or SmackDown.
It looked like he was more on main event than anything else.
Right. And all of a sudden it's like it's like they're doing the NXT, they're doing the same thing again. It's like, why am I doing the not so the so-called crappy show and not get a bigger chunk of the audience? And I'm like what's your problem, man? It's like you're out there. I mean, you're out there wrestling, doing the job. People are watching. People are watching you, and you. He has to understand that this business is not a cakewalk. You pretty much have to prove yourself. And I'm not defending Tony Khan or nobody or the Bucks or Cody, but about why he's badly utilized. I mean he's not badly utilized. It's just that right now they have nothing that good for him. But all I have to say is that pretty much Sean Spears has to be patient, and hopefully something will go for him, because what he expects from AEW is for him not to be reminded with WWE. I too don't want him to feel reminded like he's back in WWE. It's a different beast. So pretty much all I have to say is that does he have a right to gripe? In a way, yes, but does he have a right to feel that way? Frankly, no. I mean, if I was Sean Spears, I would say, wait it out another month or so. Hopefully, they'll say, well, we'll get just some exposure because it can happen to anybody. I mean, they're not going to put every wrestler. They're not going to put on the same wrestlers every week. I mean, they're going to say, oh yeah, they say she's on this week, she's on this week, she's on this week, because they want to make sure everybody gets time on an equal basis. So pretty much, well, I'm gonna wrap this up that way we don't have to take too much time. I mean, the whole thing, Sean Spears has a right to feel, but hopefully this will be, just short term.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gonna, come back and, being in a match with somebody meaningful, hopefully getting a championship match for Christ's sakes. I don't ever recall he even got a shot at like the TNT title. I think it just barely came out not that long ago this year, earlier in the year, right?
Right.
So that should be something to go for. Hopefully later on. Of course, Abaddon, she's still playing mind games with Hikaru Shida, and we're seeing how Hikaru Shida is reacting, but he's going to have to come up with some type of a anti-voodoo deal to have to keep away from Abaddon and all that. Otherwise, the more she gets in her head, then it's going to be, kind of like a nightmare on AEW Street or something like that, like a horror movie. What else? The wedding date is announced. I'm assuming it's going to be on one of those 2 days. So we'll see how good it gets. Did Acclaim defeat the tag team champions? No, of course not. Because the raps and everything, and I know that the Bucks are giving the Acclaim the top dollar in performance. I'm pretty sure they got their asses handed to them. That is one thing for sure.
It was a great for the AEW tag titles, and yes, ever since they came into the picture and on the show, and I gotta give them props for saying, oh yeah, we want to shot those AEW tag titles, but the Bucks are not going to relinquish it anytime soon. And unfortunately, speaking of the AEW tag titles, pretty much the one team who can't wait to get back on the title hunt since they lost it months ago, that being FTR. Yes, and pretty much Dax and Cash. I mean, they're not been the same, but from what I'm knowing, says that little by little the focus will not be deterred, and they said we'll do everything it takes for us to get back on top of the tag team ranks in AEW and get those tag titles back.
Yeah, because we haven't seen much of FTR, just doing backstage promos and whatnot, and they just ever since they lost those tag titles, they've been pretty much yakking and and just haven't been seen on TV except for doing promos backstage and all that other stuff. And it's like, are they going to even come back to wrestle? Are they going to wrestle somebody? It's like, what the heck? So, excuse me. So the fact is there that, we got to see them come back, wrestle. I know they want to get the belts back, but they're going to have to, stop with the act and show why they're the traditional tag team of today, that we're seeing shades of from the 80s in the form of, Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson, or even Arn and Tully Blanchard for that matter. They're still one heck of a team, and it's good that they're keeping that old school mystique in them, to show that that they are a shade of one of the greatest old school tag teams that we have witnessed back in the day, in the 80s. And that was Dynamite. Now NXT. I know I'm going to jump the gun way ahead on the main event because that one I caught it really well with my own eyes. Dakota Kai facing off Rhea Ripley. A heck of a performance. I always knew Dakota Kai is the type of chick that, even though she has cheated on certain occasions, or having the use of Raquel Gonzalez having by her corner, that's how Dakota Kai gets the advantage of her matches the majority of the time. But now that she has come on her own, and of course, like I mentioned last week, she was fixing her visa situation. So I'm assuming all of that is good to go, and it's good because not having Dakota Kai on television, that to me that would be disappointing because I've always liked Dakota Kai, and having the sensation that she would turn about a year or two ago, that's where I felt okay. Now she's going to be a heel. She's going to get the push. That's going to be awesome to watch. But yeah, her match with Rhea Ripley, it's something else. There was no interference. Raquel Gonzalez was at the walking ramp, just staying there because, of course, they had to throw in, oh, Raquel is barred from ringside, and of course, GM Regal, William Regal actually was like, okay, let's make the match. So, of course, the match was made. Raquel had no choice but to, suck it in and seeing how her friend, her ally, is getting ripped by Rhea Ripley, literally, and nothing was much done. But at the end, how Raquel actually walked into the ring, her and Rhea Ripley just staring at each other. I think that went on for like a good maybe 3.5 minutes, and then how they just went at each other back and forth, and then having to be separated by security, by referees and employees in the back. And then, of course, one was coming at the other one, and then, wait for a second and maybe two, and then the other one go over on the other side of the turnbuckle and get at that person. It was pretty good television to me. And I can't wait for another match between these two, even though Rhea Ripley won the first time when they first faced off not that long ago. So I can't wait to see that match. Raquel Gonzalez has been stepping it up. I've been supporting her. Uh, Latina and all. I always wanted to see her succeed, and she's getting that shot. She's getting that opportunity. She's not wasting it. She's making the best of it. Rhea Ripley, of course, with the lack of confidence that she was dealing with, I assume, she's getting all of that back because, having to, in my opinion, having to feel inferior to Charlotte ever since the match that they had at this year's WrestleMania, I think that definitely took a lot out of Rhea Ripley. But I'm glad that she's, coming back with full force and to show the world what she is all about. I'm really glad that, that she's, keeping it together. And it's good because now with the way things are enticing, it's only going to get a whole lot better here. Most definitely. Of course, with the way, show us the way, Garganos. Of course, with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae having to do these Christmas skits while they were in the Christmas spirit, while they were in traditional, having to be in the background with the Christmas tree and the presents and all of that. They were on the top. They were on top. They were feeling festive. They were really feeling pretty good about themselves, and they were just, no puns intended, basking in the glory of just being where they're at right now. Ending 2020 because they know that 2021 is only going to get better for them. We'll see if that is going to be the case, but nonetheless, they've been doing those promos that I believe that's their at their house, and just being jolly, being festive. Of course, they've been getting presents one at a time, and then it ended with a Merry Christmas and such, and that was cool to see.
Well, one thing I'm gonna say about that is that the Garganos have been reveling and nothing but they feel glad to celebrate the holidays with themselves, with Indy Hartwell, and with Austin Theory, who are rightfully so are the lackeys of the Garganos individually, and they pretty much wanted to spend the holidays together and want to revel in it. But one thing for sure is that they could say, oh yeah, Candice LeRae, she may feel she's on cloud nine. The same for Johnny Gargano being the North American champion. But one thing is for sure is that 2020 is far from over. And one thing I can say for sure that possibly before the year ends, Shotzi Blackheart wants to get against Candice LeRae and Leon Ruff.
Pretty good, both of them. It was one heck of a performance. But at the very end, knowing that we see Leon Ruff as a lucky underdog, he did it again. He pulled a win. He pulled him with a roll up, and it was an upset. It was an upset for Leon Ruff because he defeated Timothy Thatcher, an expert in submissions and an expert in wrestling, pretty much. And well, that was out of nowhere. Of course, I didn't sit pretty with Timothy Thatcher, and of course, he proceeded to finish him off. I'm sure the guy that he's having a rivalry with right now. I'm sorry, guys. So with the news that we just started out with the show and all this. The guy that he was having the rivalry with, Timothy Thatcher, used to be Johnny Gargano's partner.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes, Tommaso Ciampa. Thank you. Yeah, that situation's far from over. Can't wait. How they're going to build this one up even further after the match that they had at War Games. And, of course, the match that started the show, Birch and Lorcan against Killian Dean and Drake Maverick. That one, Maverick and Dean, they did not wait for them to even come out with the music and all that. They wanted to beat the hell out of the NXT Tag Team Champions, and boy, that they got a beatdown in that street fight. There was nothing like ever seen. It was a heck of a fight. I'll give it to all four guys for one heck of a performance. Of course, the episode was building around the match that's going to happen at New Year's Eve between Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly for the NXT Championship. And while we're on that topic, of course, there was a backstage promo between Adam Cole and Roderick Strong with him. And then the Dream comes in and, just started to, mess with Adam Cole, for quite a bit until he really crossed the line, saying that he's no longer a leader. He's more of a cheerleader to Kyle O'Reilly, and that if he wins the championship, he's going to be the top dog of the Undisputed Era until Adam Cole smacked the hell out of him. And it's like, there is no leader. And once again, Adam Cole proved that he is one of the one heck of the fiercest guys in that group, along with Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. And he kept on saying that NXT Championship is going to come back to the Undisputed Era. He never mentioned that Kyle O'Reilly is going to bring it back to the Undisputed Era. He just mentioned in Joe that belt is going to come back to the Undisputed Era.
And that's pretty much Adam Cole's vow is for the NXT title to get back into the fold with the Undisputed Era. But I gotta admit, last Wednesday, the way how Velveteen Dream pretty much tried to stir the pot in Adam Cole's face. Pretty much that was. And I really thought that there's still some hostility between the two men, but nonetheless, that match between Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream was truly a great match. But pretty much that's gonna set the question to what will take place this coming weekend on NXT. I mean, Finn Balor was highly familiarized with Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly is a great wrestler, and pretty much. And Kyle O'Reilly is got a great track record, but knowing this is the NXT champion, knowing this is the Prince whose track record speaks volumes, Finn will do anything it takes to retain the NXT title. And I'm pretty sure we're looking forward to seeing an amazing title defense on NXT.
Also, we witnessed Tyler Rust is now, with a manager. He faced Arya Davari. I didn't know he was still around, but I guess he was there to take the whipping. Also, what I found captivating now after seeing the promos for the last number of weeks between Xia Li and Boa, how they're fighting against their emotions to be these killer warriors, or at least that's how these promos have been leaking out to be. This week's promo for Xia Li and Boa, now they're only now there's no more weeping, there's no more crying. Now they're literally, taking every shot. Like, for example, Xia Li, gave every shot to Boa. Boa sucked it in, and of course, and they did the whole watery treatment. They're like to be these killer warriors. They're trying to be these guys that nothing will phase them, nothing will touch them. It's like if they were Van Damme in blood sport. You know what I mean? And like with Van Damme as Dukes and Chung Li, and it's like these guys are being trained as Dukes. Nothing will phase them, nothing would stop them. Nothing would bring these killer warriors down. So it's just a matter of time until we see how they're properly trained and who are they going to make victims of. That's what I'm waiting to see out of these, massive promos that's been airing already for a number of weeks now. Bronson Reed returned. He got a win on Ashanti the Adonis. Good performance, even though that was one heck of a quick match, of a kill match. There's promos between Karrion Kross and Damian Priest because they got a match coming up for New Year's Evil as well. The return of Mercedes Martinez. I bet you didn't check that one out. Mercedes Martinez returned because what happened was, there were obviously women that were having backstage promos. Toni Storm was one of them, saying that she wants to get at Io Shirai. Io Shirai obviously heard that. She came down. She grabbed a chair. She put the chair in the middle, and she said, "Toni Storm, come on down. You want some of me? Let's go." Without even knowing, a surprise attack by Mercedes Martinez laid waste to Io Shirai, the NXT Women's Champion. I was like, whoa, she's back. So now we're going to see how lethal Mercedes Martinez is. Even though I've seen how lethal she's been ever since she was a part of the women's tournament that took place, years ago. We seen her coming in NXT, earlier this year. And of course, now making a comeback just this past Wednesday. It's like, okay, it's really on now. Now we're going to see how formidable she's going to be. And if she's going to get her shot at Io Shirai. But obviously, when she laid waste to the champion, that's only going to make Io Shirai said who is going to be her focal point from that point forward. Because women are already gunning for the championship, but obviously only one is going to be the fortunate one, or unless if GM Regal appoints who's going to be her next opponent for New Year's Evil or an upcoming event, whatever's going to be. So I can't wait to see how formidable Mercedes Martinez is going to be for sure. Let's see what else. Well, we pretty much covered everything. Oh, no, not everything. I still don't get how they got Isaiah Swerve Scott to be this arrogant, type of, already heelish, but because of Jake Atlas, that's how it changed. But the match that he just had with Jake Atlas, Swerve took control, and he made his point so that Jake Atlas remembers who Isaiah Swerve Scott is. So I can't wait to see how that's gonna go. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly, They had a hell of a performance the last time we seen them in New Year's Evil. It's only going to get just much better because, you know, they're really ready to lay it out all on the line once again. As much as I'm a Finn Balor guy, I really want to see Kyle O'Reilly get up that ladder because he's been in the business for so long. We've seen him in Ring of Honor with Bobby Fish and such. He's just one heck of a performer. He's a heck of a wrestler, heck of an athlete. And he was almost close to tasting that gold. So maybe this could be the definite one, and that will be a heck of a start in 2020. But then also we got to see how is this really going to affect the rest of the Undisputed Era once all of this takes a toll.
Right, and like I stated minutes earlier, that the one thing I expect out of this title defense for Finn Balor against Kyle O'Reilly is a great match. I mean, like I pretty much mentioned, like we know, like we started watching Finn Balor ever since he was in Japan, and that's pretty much how he earned the moniker Prince. You know, because I mean he is a prince of well, he calls like the Prince of Darkness. So when he led the Bullet Club, but could he bring that arsenal, that style, come once we need defense against Kyle O'Reilly? All I could say is that we'll see how titillating, how amazing this match is gonna get. I pretty much don't have adjectives. I'm pretty much psyched myself.
And so yeah, that's pretty much it for the Wednesday Night War. Now we're gonna jump really quick on our opinion on Raw and SmackDown. There has been some good things, some good segments, decent matches. Of course, we were expecting, Charlotte Flair to come back. She at this past event, TLC, of course, it took place this past Sunday. We had a feeling it was going to be Charlotte Flair to be Asuka's partner because she's the only one who's been out for a certain amount of time, and it would make sense for her to return and get revenge on Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And the only way to stick it to them is obviously winning the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. But on reality of things, having to incorporate Lana to be the woman being beat up, having to go through tables ready for 9 times, zillion time, whatever, and all that has gone to waste just to have Charlotte come back and be in her place because she's the one who deserves to finally win a championship that she's never gotten. For her to be the actual, I could be wrong, but I believe that's true. She's the actual Grand Slam champion right now in history as far as the women is concerned. So she's held the Divas Championship. She's held the NXT Women's Championship, Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, and now the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. So now that makes Charlotte Flair a Grand Slam winner.
Yes, but before we go on, I think we just have our first chat, and here's from Joffrey Rapport, and he pretty much says, "How do you feel about WWE's product in 2020? Personally, I'll still watch WWE, but the amount of skipping matches and seeing DM seem like the good part these days." Okay, now let's just point out, and I want to thank you people. I mean, chat is everyone. Please, pretty much state anything you want. Okay, now I'm gonna start individually, and I'm gonna start with me. How do I feel about WWE's product this year? It's half and half, and I'm being honest with you, Joffrey. If you're watching, it like I mentioned at the inception of this broadcast, the problem with WWE is they're not thinking very clearly. They have a list load of talent on board the company that they're pretty much not utilizing at the very moment, because that's what it's all about. You gotta keep the stability level on both Raw, SmackDown, and of course and NXT. And you pretty much mentioned, yeah, you skip matches and you go to the end, and pretty much not to say that we skip matches, but it, frankly, like I mentioned time and time again, the product is clearly very mundane. It's like they're not putting any they're not putting any imagination whatsoever. So pretty much like if you want to see if and we thank you for using your voice and pretty much looking at chat and we feel like how you feel if we want something better for WWE since 2021 is on the horizon. Did they say that right? 2021, 2021. Knowing that 2021 is on the horizon, they can do better. But the only way that can happen is they cannot have their heads up their rear ends and say, okay, we're going to utilize a certain level of talent. They have to be flexible. That they have to know who has the potential for those to be for certain talents to be stars, and for those who don't, because you are a loyal member to the WWE Universe. But yes, your loyalty is tested to a degree. Pretty much, I'm gonna wrap up by saying, for what should WWE improve for next year for 2021? Find a way to create new stars. Find a way to keep things balanced, and that hopefully we get we get that same rush, that same vibration like how we had in years past.
I'm going to agree with you, Jade, on all those aspects. Me personally, how I felt about this year's product, um, wasn't too pleased with a lot of things, but there were things that I liked, maybe very little. I mean, I'll admit that there were some that actually put me to sleep, like literally. And I wasn't even watching all of this live. I literally watched Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, all DVR'd. But that's because, there's so much stuff that we normally see and catch up with. Like wrestling, we always see it DVR'd. But yeah, nonetheless, there were things that I liked. There were things that I didn't like. And unfortunately, with this pandemic, everything just completely changed. The whole atmosphere in wrestling completely changed, because here I thought, besides WWE, we were going to get more flavors. AEW was already established. NWA, I was getting into that. NWA Power, oh my God. That is like shades of the past, but with the superstars of now. And obviously, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, that killed the future wrestling routine that we were all going to be insatiated with, because, it's like, we were going to get, stuff of the past, like at one time, WWE, WCW, ECW, those were the top 3 wrestling companies that were out there. And once WWE was in competition with all of them, it was just them. But now things are different, or at least they were different until the pandemic kicked in, and we were getting all these flavors. So it wasn't just WWE. AEW was out there, then NWA, and then I'm pretty sure there were others that follow. But yeah, I mean, this year was just in and out, wishy washy, and I still bitch about creative staff, because everything they do and who's got the final call, it's Vince. We heard the stories how he's not pleased with some of the stuff that they've been writing. He tears it up, and they start all over again. There were some things that worked, some things that didn't, and unfortunately, that led to where one time, of course, Vince didn't rip up a script, and that led to Raw having one of the lowest ratings ever in wrestling history. So whose fault is that? Vince. I say Vince is not even in any shape. I mean, the last time we seen Vince McMahon on TV, it was Survivor Series. I'm already like, oh my God. This guy, he needs to take care of himself. He needs to step away from the business, pass it on to Triple H, Stephanie, and Shane, and they can take over and get WWE back to where it needs to be. Because with Vince at the helm, it could mean doomsday for WWE. I hope that doesn't happen, because I've been a WWE fan ever since, my God, the late 80s, early 90s, when Hulk Hogan was still, running the ship. But how everything changed, it needs to be about the superstars now. And I hated how some superstars are getting the push and it only lasts 3 weeks. That is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And I hated that these superstars don't get the opportunities that they truly deserve. And, that just leaves me infuriated as a fan to see these guys work their hearts out, their hearts and souls, and until there's nothing for them, and then they want out. They want out until they go somewhere else. and it sucks. It really sucks for them, and I feel for them. I really feel for them,
But
and that's my opinion on it.
yeah, but nonetheless, thank you very much for Chen. You want to take these next checks?
Yeah, so he states, I think it has to do with originality. Yes, they need to reignite passion because if you have the corporate office handling what the wrestlers want to do, I can only watch a handful of wrestlers these days. I agree with all of that, though. Yeah, I mean, we're with you, man, and I appreciate putting in the chat and getting our opinion. We appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. But yeah, hopefully 2021 can overturn things around because we're not that far away from that year. And once it gets to March, I know in March, call the month of March in 2001, how WWE, the competition is no more. And whether that left for WWE, it dried themselves up until they had to battle within themselves, and then the brand split and all that. Of course, you people know all of that. That's the way it goes. So as we continue with this, of course, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, they're tag team champions, women's tag team champions. They've been up against the former champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, until Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke came back, and they wanted to let them know it's like, hey, it's our turn. You guys get back in line. And of course, to prove it, they had a match. And unfortunately, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler won the match. Also, I did not understood, the thing about Jeff Hardy and Riddle having to do that segment of the VIP lounge, but it's like, okay, bro. Nonetheless, it was kind of a question mark, that had me literally riddled about, that type of thing. But, it was what it was, obviously. But what we mentioned last week, of course, when it came to bringing talent back and having them on opportunities, but like I said, it's only a matter of time until these guys actually get some TV time, and then it's like, oh, let's cool them off the window. So, for example, Angel Garza, he came back, had a match with Drew Gulak. That was pretty good. But let's see if they're going to have something for him, this upcoming Monday. Of course, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Keith Lee, they stepped it up with their own version of the Nightmare after TLC. At least that was a little bit pleasing, unlike, what AJ, Miz, and Morrison did. That wasn't all that good. And besides, it was a part of the Raw low-rated show from the previous week. Gran Metalik had a match with Jackson Riker. That one, I guess it only lasted 2-3 minutes. Of course, Jeff Hardy Riddle had the match with Bobby Lashley and MVP. That one was pretty good until it lasted. The segment with Randy Orton having to come in, and he's already he's got this look of the killer, beyond being a legend killer. Now he's a fiend killer. But it's like I stated before, now with Alexa Bliss showing up and, she's giving all these riddling messages of how he's going to make a comeback. And it's like I mentioned before when we've seen that, if he is going to make a comeback, I expect the Fiend to look a lot more hideous. But then, being a family show, it ain't going to do much. But since now USA's putting the pressure on wanting to do adult content to get the ratings back up, they're going to have to play hardball. Freaking creative and all of them, they're going to have to get their heads out of their asses, like you said, and give the Fiend a freaking diabolical look. And I mean, like nasty, like the aftermath of TLC being burned and all of that. He's got to be something, I don't know, ugly, evil, barbaric, something along those lines, but of course not overstepping bounds. And I think that, the Fiend's character within Bray Wyatt, I think this one's going to superb that from the previous incarnations that he was involved with.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the one thing that say because I'm gonna make a quick recap from what transpired at TLC from the Raw side. I mean the women's tag match between Asuka and the returning Charlotte Flair was great, and yes, I mean now Charlotte Flair adds another belt to her collection, that being the women's tag belt. And pretty much we know that Nia and Shayna are not pretty much going to take a backseat to who many dubbed the Queen.
And while we're at it, sorry to cut you off. Of course, they had a match, to prove why they're the champions. They faced off against Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce, and we know how that ended up. But still, I guess it was meant to go that way, right?
Yes. The men's tag match with the New Day against Cedric Alexander and Sean Badger and her business. It was a great match, and the New Day gave it up. But unfortunately, the side was on the Hurt Business, and then becoming the new men's tag
And
champions.
speaking of which, while we're on the subject, Sean Benjamin, he dedicated his win to the the superstar that passed away from Crime Time.
Oh, Shaggy Spard.
Yes, he dedicated his championship win to him. We haven't checked out the video on the Raw YouTube page, but once we're done with the show, we're gonna check that out. I'm
Right.
pretty sure it's something heartwarming, and I'm pretty sure they knew each other very good and very good terms. Uh, you know, bros to the end type of thing. Being working together in the locker room and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was heartwarming.
Yes, and of course to end it, the TLC match, which was originally supposed to be a one-on-one between Drew McIntyre and the phenomenal AJ Styles, but like I stated a week before, the Miz will do anything it takes to pretty much insert himself, and unfortunately, much to my chagrin, he inserted himself into that match that very night, and I thought that he was going to save it for like somewhere better, like for the Royal Rumble or something. But his desperation got the best of him from what we saw last Sunday.
It was a major fail.
Yes,
It was all destined to be a major fail. It's ridiculous how that contract, I'm sure it was done before, but how all of this just got played to where Otis got it. We're waiting until when the heck he was going to cash it, until Miz started inserting himself and saying, "Oh, you don't deserve that contract. I've been there before. I'm pretty sure if I get it, I'm going to cash it in the right way, and I'm going to get the championship." And we all know. I mean, like I said, I like the Miz as Mike Mizanin from Miz and Mrs., but like the Miz and the WWE character, I don't like that character at all. But nonetheless, it was destined as a huge fail, and of course, that was another opportunity wasted.
yes.
And there went the Money in the Bank briefcase for 2020, and the contract included.
And thanks for posting again, Jaffe. Thank you for tuning on. The answer is no, but it would be nice to see that the Drew McIntyre and the phenomenal AJ Styles go at it one-on-one for the WWE Championship, because that would just goes to show that you got something good going. And frankly, since we're only days away from the last Raw of the year, that would be nice to see that Drew would defend the WWE title against AJ Styles one-on-one, no strings attached, and if they had to go extreme to a degree, if they could go no holds barred to a degree, anything, because pretty much it is all about the ratings, it is all about the numbers, and if they pretty much want to close this out right, I would say go for it. Why not have Drew McIntyre defend against AJ Styles one-on-one?
Right. And before we close our opinion on Raw, now I think we're going to hit something with Retribution and Ricochet, because we already seen him only win, I think, once against them, and they got, they beat him down and they got wins against Ricochet. But now it's all gone to the point where now they're going to capitalize on something, because if you see right here, Ricochet gets emotional and aims to change things. If you would have heard what Ricochet had to say you would actually feel for the guy. Once I saw that segment on Raw Talk, I was like, damn, I think Ricochet is at a breaking point where he can't go on with this fight against Retribution. Or maybe, like even how Charlie Caruso pointed out, if you can't beat him, join him. But I feel Ricochet, and we know all about Ricochet, how we feel about this guy. This guy is, I love Ricochet as a performer. Ever since we've seen him in Japan, Ring of Honor, my God, he's the one superstar that literally takes a breath away with all those maneuvers. He's just great, you know. And him coming into NXT, that was one heck of a chapter. Now him coming on Raw, and he had some good memory spots and all of that. And now he's in this battle with Retribution, even though before it was the Hurt Business. But now with Retribution, I think we might have something here. And if I'm not mistaken, our man Jeffrey Lupul states, I hate the angle they gave Ricochet. He deserves to wrestle, not to entertain. And I agree. I very much agree, because Ricochet, like I stated just now, he's something else, man. He's one hell of a performer. And having to see him, and I know I'm saying it, I guess, on another angle or part, see him get wasted on this story before I seen him actually do this act of the breakdown, it was a waste. It's a waste of Ricochet's time, energy, and everything that went with it. But I think if creative can capitalize on this part, maybe we might see something change within the single. Is Ricochet going to be the one who can probably join Retribution and break it from within? Or if he's going to have some type of a strategy to get at these guys and just, kind of in a way stick it to them, So that's what I want to see following up this piece that we just talked about from Raw Talk.
There's so many questions as to what's going to be the deal with Ricochet, because knowing that he lost to 3 members of Retribution on 3 separate occasions is something that's pretty much, and pretty much we don't know what's going to be the deal with Ricochet, because I remember R-Truth say you got to stay in the light. In other words, he's pretty much saying you are who you are, and we like you that way. But unfortunately, when push comes to shove, I mean, what is Ricochet gonna do? But the only thing I have to say, that as a fan, what I don't like about Retribution is the way how they're presented. They should have been the focal point of the Raw product. They should have been the elite heels for the show. Instead of saying, okay, we could just chip away at one guy. Why not say, okay, we gotta find a way to infect the entire product from within. That way you can get the audience invested in it, to say like, oh my God, I'm like, why am I seeing this? Where like how when the group was first created. From there, that was going to say, oh yeah, there's potential for the television. However, within a matter of time, they've been relegated to, I guess I'm going to say, a role that's clearly demeaning, not because of who's in it, it's because how they were presented. Instead of them being the focal point of the group, running roughshod, create as much terror as they can. And as a fan, that's what I want to see from Retribution, because that's pretty much is what makes good television.
They did started out good in the beginning, but then over time they just fell flat. And then on top of that, having to present all of these guys with, all these different masks and hockey masks, and one kid looking like Casey Jones and stuff. It's like, what the heck are we watching here? This is supposed to be the viral threat to WWE, and it turns out that's not the case. And in order for Retribution to get over, you got to have some really, actual superstars in this, because we all know that Retribution, they're guys from NXT. the majority of them. Maybe one, two that we haven't seen, but the other two, obviously from NXT. Nonetheless, and it was stated that these guys are nothing but mid carders. So there is no way for Retribution to actually get over unless they include a superstar that can help them, get over and actually be something threatening. But right now, we got two groups in Raw, the Hurt Business and Retribution. Unfortunately, their feud lasted very short. And I'm like, okay, so they're going to go their separate ways. And it's like, they're going to have to come back and cross at some point. Maybe now better than never on both sides. But in order for that to happen, you got to have some valuable credit with superstars that can actually help them, get over as a faction, because even today on a Facebook group now, they would like to wonder if maybe Keith Lee could be the missing piece to the Hurt Business. Now, my opinion, will that ever happen? No, because my opinion, Keith Lee, he is something else, and I mean that in a good way because his performance was just over the top. How that guy got over in the Indies and how he was made his way to NXT and then, of course, onto the main roster. But lately, what they've done with Keith Lee is kind of insulting. I'm still pissed off of his match that he had with Miz and Morrison. They should have never gave it to them. It should have been Keith Lee's match, literally. That was stupid. How that whole finish in the match, that was absolutely stupid. But that's the way it was, and we move on. But yeah, that was an actual blemish, black mark in Keith Lee's jacket. I'm sorry to say it. He doesn't deserve that. He just doesn't deserve that. Moving on, now we cover SmackDown finally. We never got to see the literal episode, but like I said, I actually caught up with the videos on YouTube and such. But still, now after this, I'm not going to catch it in full, but because, of course, the steel cage match, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, they had some really good killer spots in the match. Of course, Jey Uso's interference, that wasn't going to go anywhere to where it should, to make sure that Roman Reigns was going to be the head of the table and keep the Universal title, of course. And he did. And of course, before getting into all these stories, obviously this whole information was leaked even before the episode got out because, of course, all of this was pre-taped. Biggie winning the Intercontinental Championship. This is a huge deal because we've all been wanting this for Biggie so bad. Ever since the New Day split during the how do you call it, the calling of the draft. Yes. And hearing that the New Day was going to split, it's like, okay, that's a shocker. That was a surprise. My biggest concern as a fan was seeing what the heck were they going to do with Biggie. What the heck were they going to do with him? Because they just let them flounder and they let them do these spots backstage, these comedy acts. Like if he's still carrying on somewhat of the sensation of the New Day while the other half of New Day, they're still doing theirs. And it's like we rarely see any of that of Big E until that one Talking Smack episode where Big E showed up. Paul Heyman gave him one heck of a speech, a message of sorts, and I'm pretty sure that got Big E thinking. So now, knowing that, and I'm not even going to get into the match of him winning the championship because it was evident it was going to happen that way. But with the Lumberjacks, Sami Zayn was going to escape. They're like, you already did this too many times. All the good guys, they grabbed Sami Zayn, they tossed his ass back into the ring, and it was evident, big ending at the end, got the championship. So now we're going to see what this is going to make of Big E with, I believe this is his second Intercontinental Championship run. So I can't wait to see where is Big E going to go from here with that championship.
Yes, and pretty much, frankly, no, I did not expect Sami Zayn become the Intercontinental champion again ever since I guess I'll call it an unexpected technicality on account of the pandemic, but what has happened. But pretty much he pretty much is making is pretty much. If there was one thing Simmons is going to irritating a lot of people, and I pretty much say us included, and it's pretty much a good thing now that Biggie is the new Intercontinental champion. But overall, the show was okay. Like I said, we did not see the show, and that's also, and technically that's also another error on the part of WWE. It's like if you have a tape show, if you want to whet the fans' appetites, you got to do themselves a favor and not leak out the outcome of any tape show, because that also can be detrimental to WWE, because knowing that they have a tape show, because this reminded me like back years ago when Edge defeated Ken Anderson, known as Mr. Ken at the time, and they pretty much he became the Mr. Money in the Bank again, and they pretty much leaked it out that he already got the belt, and I'm like, if that's the case, no, I'm not watching it.
This got leaked out back then?
Yes, it got leaked out.
Wow. It was a long time ago. I barely remember, because I guess at that time, I mean, to me, it wasn't a huge deal. If I want to talk about leaks, what was a huge deal back then during the Monday Night Wars is how Mick Foley ended up winning the WWE Championship against The Rock, and it was WCW and Eric Bischoff that decided to leak that out on their TV. And what happened? They lost the war. I mean, well, not lost the war. They lost the battle. Right. They lost the night, pretty much.
They lost
the numbers. The numbers that were supposed to be for them ended up turning in WWE's favor.
Because that was different. It's like the difference here is, guys, WWE leaking out their own outcomes, it pretty much doesn't benefit them. If it's a rival competitor, rival promotion who pretty much catches wind of what the run sheet goes for WWE, and pretty much run all the story that it was the story was that while they were broadcasting Nitro in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, the executive producer told Tony Schiavone about the outcome. Eric Bischoff said, "Go ahead, leak it out. That way people don't watch it." Unfortunately, it backfired on them.
So wait a minute, you're saying that WWE was the ones that leaked out?
No. An executive producer from
no. Not about the Mick Foley incident. About the Edge and Mr. Anderson incident.
Yes,
they leaked it out.
Are
you sure about that?
Yes. I mean, when I went to the website and I clicked on the website, and they said and they said there's new new world heavyweight champion Edge, and I'm like, really? Like, how could they be so stupid? It's
wow.
Like how can they be so stupid? It's like, you cannot, like that's what I'm saying right now, because if they're the ones leaking out outcomes prior to a tape telecast, you're pretty much preventing people from watching the show.
What year was this?
2007. 2007, because that was when they had the WrestleMania in Orlando.
To me, at that year, 2007, that's where WWE started deflating with the show, with Raw and Smackdown and all. I mean, I still watched it, but I wasn't as enthusiastic as I was, with the shows. It's like, okay, it's on, let's watch it. I mean, not like, unlike with the previous couple of years when John Cena was still the man, and he was on the show still running hard. And it's like, oh, let's watch the show.
No question. 2008. 2007 when Detroit. 2008.
Well, same thing, because ever since John Cena made the change and became the corporate guy during the beginning of the PG era, that's where for me it started to deflate. But at the same time, I understood what was going on, because John Cena wanted to cater more to kids than to adults. And that's the day that I realized, okay, I was a fan of John Cena during the days of basic thugonomics. But when he became, when this show was about to be revolved around the PG era and it was going to be family entertainment, and John Cena was still at the helm, so that gimmick done, now he wanted to be the hero to kids. That's where I still had my respects to that guy because he became that generation's Hulk Hogan. So it's like I don't feel the same because obviously I was growing up already. So it's like, okay, shows taking a different toll, but since I'm already grown up, it doesn't really affect me that way. But I get it, But still, I'm surprised he actually remembered that part. But like to me, what was a huge deal was the Mick Foley incident back in 1999. So as we move on, we only got a little bit left. The women's tag team champions, they showed up on SmackDown. They had a triple threat tag team elimination match. And of course, at the end, Asuka and Charlotte won. Also, Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, they went at it again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, the segments that stole the show more was definitely the steel cage match, and of course, Biggie becoming the Intercontinental Champion. And that's a really good way to end 2020, to be honest. The storyline with Roman Reigns being ahead of the table still going strong. I hope they keep it going for 2021. Like I said, I want to see where they're going to go with Big E and him as the Intercontinental Champion. Yes, it was just a matter of time to see how 2021 is going to transpire with everything going on. Like I stated in the beginning of the program, ladies and gentlemen, it is unfortunate news that the man who was known in WWE as Luke Harper, who in AEW recently was known as Mr. Brody Lee. Jonathan Huber unfortunately passed away in the last 3-4 hours due to a non-COVID-19 issue with his immune system, pretty much with his lungs. This news really shocked us before even starting this program. We're speechless. We still made it through, and we're still speechless because we witnessed this man, have a place in WWE, was a part of the Wyatt family, and he was a big deal. But then he became a huge deal when he went to AEW and became Mr. Brody Lee as the leader of the Dark Order. Like I said, the matches, he's had so many as part of the Wyatts, the Bludgeon Brothers. But I'll never forget the comedy skits that he did with the Dark Order and being the Elite. Those are always going to make me laugh my ass off. Wherever you're at in the heavens, Mr. Huber, thank you very much for those hours of entertainment. Those are the ones that I will cherish and take with me this year in 2020 because, unfortunately with this pandemic going on, and I hope in 2021 all of this ends. When we all have, those negative thoughts in our head and all of these things because, we're putting up with so much and we barely get the oxygen and air that we need to be away from, these walls, these cubicles, whatever. We have those hours of entertainment that are there on television to help us escape from the reality that we're living in. And for that, I can never thank you for that.
And I also want to take the time that for those of you watching us right now, I mean, we're done with Christmas and New Year and New Year's Eve is approaching. Other than watching, if you're the WWE fan, NXT, if you're a fan of AEW Dynamite, one thing I want to say is that because of in the wake of John Huber's passing, I mean, pretty much say spend as much time as you can with your loved one, celebrate as much as you can, enjoy life as much as you can, especially during this upcoming New Year holiday, because within a matter of time, it's like your love, like nobody least expected. It could be an illness, it could be an accident, whatever. That loved one is not going to be near you tomorrow. Pretty much, there's like to, and I hate to borrow a quote from, but I might as well borrow a quote from Don Marie from ECW. Say, appreciate what you have today because it may not be tomorrow. Appreciate that loved one all that time, your best friend, someone you're very close to,
Your family.
Yes, especially with this with New Year's Eve coming. It's like you never know what can happen. This all I could say is just let's just celebrate life the best we can. We're thankful that we're still here on planet. For those of you who are still thankful you're here on planet Earth, and all we can say is that we're gonna have a good time, and for others who sadly according to for those who the man upstairs called up, especially John Huber, they pretty much leave us nothing but memories to remember and relive. And pretty much all I have to say is that we hope you have a very safe and we hope you celebrate New Year very safe and very very healthy. Let's just enjoy life as much as we can because it is very precarious.
On behalf of the Ace Man Armageddon brand, we wish all of you watching a happy 2021. We still got a fight left going. Let's keep on winning that fight. Protect yourselves. Mask up, safely distance. And this is pretty much where we sign out. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate our man Geoffrey Loophole, if we pronounced your name right. If not, we apologize. Thank you very much for those questions and comments. We appreciate you, buddy. And that is it for us here. This has been another episode of the Wrestling Weekend Recap for 2020. Hopefully you join us next Saturday when we begin the new edition of 2021. We're still debating if we're going to make it live or we're going to make it pre-tape. We will send a community post to what's going to happen this upcoming Saturday next week. Until then, the one and only Jade, I'm Ace Monex. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night. And this has been a special tribute of this episode to the one and only Jonathan Huber, better known as Luke Harper, and Brody Lee. Born December 16, 1979, who just passed away December 26th of 2020.
May God rest his soul.
Godspeed.